Talking Ole Miss football with Jake Evans from the Rebel Walk. He and Evie doing a fine job with the rest of the staff there covering Ole Miss athletics. You mentioned the coordinator position on both sides of the football. This guy in the offensive side, a few people might have heard of him. He's been around a little bit. Rich Rodriguez coming to Ole Miss, of course, to head up the offense. And he's a guy that has had much success. In particular, his stops at West Virginia and at Arizona on that side of the football in particular. So Ole Miss fans have to be a bit intrigued about what could be in store.
Yeah, absolutely. And, last year, the offense, Ole Miss's offense, they put up big numbers last year, and, the averages across the board were solid, but the struggles came when they played against really good competition and when they got into the red zone. And that's something that Ole Miss thinks that Rich Rodriguez could help with a lot, is running a more balanced offense that, can capitalize on those big situations and not just rely on big plays and, mismatches with big receivers and stuff like that. So Ole Miss is really excited about him. Like you said, he's had a lot of success in the past, and he's still working with some good offensive talent here, even though a few guys left for the draft this year. So Ole Miss is excited about him. It's bringing a little bit of that excitement back, because that's kind of been Ole Miss's staple the last few years, is a big high scoring offense. So hopefully he can keep that going, and they're excited about him.
Some folks might question Rich Rodriguez's judgment off the field, and then certainly his in-between stint as head coach at Michigan didn't necessarily turn out tougher conference. Also didn't necessarily fit his style of play in regards to trying to implement that kind of system with the personnel that was left there by Lloyd Carr. But he goes to Arizona, does fairly well on the field. And of course, his heyday was at West Virginia, making them a national power, winning big bowl games over the likes of Georgia and Oklahoma during his stay with the Mountaineers. Now we go to the defensive side of the ball, Jake, and we've got the same type situation where you bring in a coach who is a head coach. So inexperienced head coach here at Ole Miss, two experienced coordinators as head coaches, with Mike McIntyre coming in from Colorado. And just to show you how things can change so quickly in college football, he was, I believe, National Coach of the Year just in 2016 after taking a Colorado team that had been down forever, and they go on to the Pac-12 championship game. He has a couple rough years in 17 and 18, and he's looking for a job, and now he's coaching your defense.
Yeah, and that's, it's kind of the same deal with Rich Rodriguez and Mike McIntyre, is that both these guys are former head coaches that have a lot of experience, and they're coming here working for Matt Luke, who doesn't necessarily have that kind of experience. But that's one thing that, people are excited about, is that clearly these guys see something here, and they were willing to take a step down in the coaching tree to come here and work, because, we see something, and it's clear that they see something too, and they're here to work for it. And, we're hoping that that's kind of going to be a little turnaround with the program here. And like you said, he's got some good experience being a head coach, National Coach of the Year just a few years ago. So, the fans and the team seem to be excited about this. We're hoping it's a good stepping stone, helping, that kind of missed out a little bit earlier in this year on the recruiting class, because neither one of them had signed officially yet. But we're kind of hoping that maybe they can push a few recruits here through at the very end, and then kick it next year with a full class. So we're excited about what we've got here. There's a lot of experience within the new coaching staff under Matt Luke, and so we're hoping things are going to turn around here a little bit.
And again, I just think it's a win-win situation. Not that Matt Luke has shown any weaknesses or any issues as a head coach or seemed overwhelmed in any way, but it can only help when he's already established himself to be the leader. But at the same time, he's got two guys to lean on that have pretty much experienced across the board anything you would experience at a big-time program, coaching from the head coaching position, to rely on these two guys with their experience and their perspective from what they've seen, and because Matt Luke has only been in the job for a year and a half, and probably will see some things that he has yet to see before. Interesting stuff. Now, obviously, McIntyre, though, working in a different situation than Rodriguez, who takes over an offense and has been very productive. McIntyre takes over a defense, and he's got his work cut out for him.
Yeah, and that was kind of one of the things that when he was introduced as the new coordinator here a couple weeks ago, that was one of the things that people were really optimistic about, was his opening press conference. One of the things that really bothered people last year was that Ole Miss never really seemed to have an answer for the defensive struggles we had last year, and he came in and he sounded very confident right off the bat that he knew what he was going to do, what he needed to do, and he knew that he could do it with the players that are here. And so that was a thing that was really positive that got people fired up, was that it didn't just seem like he was stepping into a situation and was just going to be like, I guess we'll see how it goes. You know, he stepped in, and it sounds like he really knows what he's going to do with the program. And that's one thing that, you know, and him and Rich Rodriguez both, they've mentioned that they're going to play off each other, because last year part of the defensive struggle came from the fact that the offense moved the ball so fast. They either scored in a minute and a half or they went 3 and out in a minute and a half, and the defense was right back on the field. And they've talked about running, you know, Rich Rodriguez has talked about running an offense that'll help that defense be on the field less, more of like a pro style offense that can, you know, help them play in, be you know, healthier when they get back on the field, be on the field way less than last year. So I think these guys are going to work out great together. All signs are pointing towards, you know, a good turnaround for this year.
And as you mentioned, Jake, it's about picking your spots and understanding what just happened. So if the defense just got a 3 and out, okay, on offense, let's go for it. And if we score in 55 seconds or we get a 3 and out, it's not a huge deal because they weren't on the field for a long time. But if they just gave up a 12-play drive for 82 yards, then they've been on the field for 6 minutes. Well, we need to play a little bit differently to not set them up for failure.
Exactly.
And looking at that.
Yep.